Hi, I'm Brian English, following in Hyperbytes, and we're going to be looking at parsing data where we're not actually sure what type of data will be passed to our module. I'm going to do this by illustration. If I look at our JS, where we pass that my data object, we specified that the data that was passed would be an object, and we emit this error message accordingly. So if I go into the module and we actually select a item within that query as opposed to the full query, I'm going to save that. If we run that query, we get a rather unexpected really error message which says that the query input is not available. Now we know we have given it an input, but for some reason the JS module is rejecting that. And actually that's really simple why that happens. If you remember that we specified within our module object, and when we're sending it the full query, that wasn't a problem because we are sending it an object. But in this particular case, we're actually sending it a string, which means that it doesn't comply with this requirement that it is an object. Therefore, we get the error message is output because it doesn't comply with that criteria. Now that's a bit of a problem because we might want to send different types of data to a particular module. The way we get around it is simply to use a wildcard. So what we say is that actually accept any form of data, and I'm just going to take the word query out there while we're busy, and then that will parse it, or at least attempt to parse whatever we've sent to that, regardless of data type. And in most cases you're only going to see that error message if actually you haven't included that input at all. That does of course lead to some further issues. Again, I've said this is not a JavaScript tutorial, so I'm not going to go into the details of doing this, but you would at this point have to then test its data type probably to be safe, to make sure that the data that's been passed is suitable data to be used within the module. Perhaps they've been sent an object where you want a string, or they've sent a string where perhaps you want a file path. So you're going to have to test for that yourself, and then generate a error message accordingly by throwing an error basically. So in this case I've said okay, that's my data. I'm just going to return actually the first record anyway. That's probably the easiest way, because so we save that, send the module. We'll fire that up again now, and we'll see that what it's done is it's actually treat that string as an array of and it's taken the first element of that array and it's taken the E from what would have been English. So that just shows that we can get around that problem, but we inherit another problem because we have to then deal with the data typing of that input accordingly. But that allows us to say to be able to deal with the different types of inputs. So now we know that, what I'm going to do now is actually rewrite this module to some degree, add some extra inputs in, and actually give it a calculated output. So I hope to see you in the next module.